Hello. Me and the girlfriend over there. There she is. Hi. Just watched The Little Mermaid for the first time. I'm gonna. You're fine. You're adorable. You're adorable. See, she's adorable.
Stop it! Screw you!
Anyway,
Now you're gonna have to edit shit.
I'm not editing nothing. Anyway, okay, so just watched The Little Mermaid. It popped up on Disney Plus today or yesterday. Anyway, and I gotta say, this will be my first time in a long time that I will say that this was a 9 out of 10. Usually I would say a 7 out of 10 for a lot of things because I always try to give things a little bit more, what's the word? Not the nostalgia factor. If it was nostalgia, like say Mortal Kombat, the live action movie back in 1995, I think it was really cool, and it still stands up to this day, and it's still like a 8 out of 10. I feel like that movie would be a lot more awesome if they did have a little bit more blood and gore. But this goes to show you that movies like that do not need a lot of blood and gore to be good. So back onto The Little Mermaid. The reason why I'm making it a 9 out of 10 is because of its creativity and what they did when they got on land. Yes, this is a spoiler review. Whoosh, spoilers. Anyway, the first half of the movie was pretty much just rehearsing the entire cartoon of
It wasn't even the first half.
well,
The first quarter.
first quarter of the movie where before she got her legs, basically, was like it just felt cut and paste, and it just kept going like that. There were some scenes where it felt like they were kind of rushing it, and there were some scenes that felt like they were just taking it straight from the movie. And but when they got they had the typical like weird live action thing where things were just that felt kind of out of place and kind of felt like it was, this is kind of real as well, and it was working, but it was not the most important thing to them. It felt like what you said before. You said that it felt like they were just putting it there to.
Oh yeah, it felt like they were just hitting the scenes that they had to. Like, we have to hit these scenes because what they actually wanted to do was make a whole new thing involving the land that we hadn't gotten to see before. So they were just hitting the milestones that they needed to in the beginning.
Yeah.
In order to get to the part they actually wanted to do.
Yep. And Eric, actually, he was a lot more compelling than he was in the cartoon.
I preferred Eric in the cartoon.
But I feel like they should have combined the two instead of making Eric just kind of like this one dimensional character. I guess I'm not using that right, but I will say that I do like the fact that he was enjoying the sea. He's a free spirited kind of guy. She doesn't like the fact that he was an orphan.
I just felt like it took things away. Like, I didn't think that was a part that needed to be done. Like, you could have introduced his parents were never mentioned in the animated. You could have introduced them as anything. You didn't have to do the whole adopted line and make him feel like, oh, he's a fish out of water in his own kingdom. No, just make him the son of the queen or king. I don't care which. You don't need to go through the whole adopted bloodline. I just felt like that was a little not necessary.
Yeah,
It wasn't bad, just not necessary.
I agree with her on that notion due to the fact that Ariel wasn't adopted. So it wasn't really like they had that in common. And if they had it in common, that she was an orphan too, that's why she didn't look like her father, then it would have been...
None of her sisters.
Hold on.
Sorry.
That it would have made a little bit more understanding that why she didn't look like her dad, but then you would have to go through the notion on her sisters all not looking like her dad. But they're not going to tell you in a Disney film that her dad be getting it on with a bunch of different ladies. So if they went with the factor that he just adopted all the kids and kind of put that out there in the front ground, I would have accepted the adoption thing a lot more, because she would feel different, but she wouldn't feel too different because she has siblings and they're all not related by blood. That would have been a little bit more interesting because she knows what it's like to be an orphan but not really care, while Eric is an orphan who does care because he doesn't have anyone to relate to.
But at this point, the only reason they threw in the whole orphan line was so that you can get the, oh, he's a fish out of water just like she is. But he's not.
Like I
He
said,
was still raised in the kingdom.
like I said, it's a bit unorthodox. It's not. It would have made a lot more sense if they did it more like that.
Yeah.
But see, we're really mostly talking about like the moments when she got her legs. There were some scenes where I feel like that should have been either combined with the original. Like you could still have those scenes, but it didn't pace itself enough to really give you a caring notion. It started to pace itself really well when she got out of the water and she got her legs.
I started to really vibe with it when Ursula was introduced. I like the fact that they acknowledged the whole aunt relationship. I like that that was out there, and I like the addition that Ursula put a curse into it, where she would constantly forget about her whole mission, because it makes sense why she was dilly-daddling.
All that dilly-dally. And yes, Ursula was great.
Ursula was fantastic.
Oh my god.
I loved
She
how she was just laying
felt
out.
like Ursula and just hit every point.
I liked how she did not swim. I liked how she just kind of jumped between walls. It made her feel so much more controlled than the other characters. Because it made her feel like she was stuck to the scene while all the other characters were free-flowing. And I loved it.
Mm-hmm. And it just felt like, see, one of the things that I've always tried to explain with live action stuff that I'd say with my friends is the fact that they don't get in tuned with their character. Like this lady who played Ursula, I can't remember her name, but she felt like Ursula and added on to her character through the scenes because like think of it this way: you've seen everything of Ursula from the cartoon movies, but of the cartoon movie, and now you're putting more for it. There's more. It feels like there's more going on, like Star Wars: The Clone Wars with Ahsoka Tano in pretty much Revenge of the Sith. They were adding scenes in there to make it even more interesting. That's why everyone goes crazy over the Order 66 scenes in every new Star Wars adaptation, because it's adding on more to the scene, and but for Ursula it's adding more to one character, and learning a little bit more about her is what people want to see in live action adaptations. They don't want to see the same story over and over again without something new that can make it more interesting, adding new information, not changing up her character just to appease a specific audience. She still felt like Ursula. She was fun, she was funny, and she was a lot more crafty, even though the other one was more, I will say this is the part of the movie that is one of the reasons why it's not a 10 out of 10, is because it didn't pace anything. Not enough pacing. I would have loved it if they made Ursula slowly drag in Ariel, but instead they just kind of put it in the scene, and because it's the two eels that persuade her in there, but in this movie they don't talk. Remember, it's a spoiler review, not a non-spoiler review.
We're gonna put in big red letters at the beginning.
And so, like, having said that, it's just the fact that having that build up to going towards Ursula was a lot more enjoyable in the cartoon than it was in this movie, because yes, that's a cat, because she was just like almost every female villain of the classic cartoons of the Disney princesses and stuff, had a certain mystery to them, had a certain evil intention, and had a certain air to them. And in these movies, they just kind of make them cinematic and leave it at them being cinematic. That's it. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why people didn't like Maleficent a little bit. I know a lot of people loved it, like my grandmother. Love you, Grandma. Shout out, Grandma Wheezy. But when I seen the movie
like Maleficent, I wanted to root for the bad guy, and they just gave me anti-hero instead of villain. I wanted evil, mistress of all evil. That's who she's supposed to be. I wanted to be rooting for the villain, and they didn't give it to me in Maleficent. With this, Ursula was fantastic. Oh, she was so evil and she loved it.
she had fun with it. Her whole character, Ursula's whole character, is that she knows she's evil. She knows what she's doing, and it's like, it's a hobby and a thrill ride. And she just enjoys being herself. And that is what makes Ursula a really fun character. So when bad things happen, Ursula gets stuff done. And you see it through the part where she's looking through the potions, trying to find the potion and transform her into a human. And even her tentacles have personality. So one's like, touches her on the shoulder, and she's like, no, not that one. Look, the other one. And they're trying to find it, and they just keep handing it to her. So you already got the idea that her tentacles are characters. So when they have a bunch of stuff handing it to her, she's like, no, not that. It's like a bunch of people trying to help her out, but she's just getting frustrated. And then she goes, oh, I got it. And everything calms down. And that's why it's so, it's just fun. It's not serious. It's not her being a bitch. No, excuse my language. It's just her having fun with being her.
Having fun being the villain.
Yeah. Having fun being the villain. She's playing her role, and she's enjoying it, making you want to enjoy it because it's fun. It's not taking itself too seriously, even though the movie has its serious moments and has its fun moments and a little bit of slow moments that feel like they need to be a little bit slower or paced. Yeah. It would have been a lot more enjoyable because it would get me invested. There are moments in this movie where I do just want to get up and walk away from it and then come back and sit down, because with the movie that paced itself, I want to be glued to it because I feel like I'm walking next to these people as these things are going on. But this feels like just another movie.
Now, while we're still in the underwater people, gotta mention, I definitely preferred Triton in the animated version because he felt like somebody who was in control. Mm-hmm. This version of Triton felt like somebody who wanted to be in control, but wasn't. I also feel like the under the water or under the sea is it felt pretty empty. It did. It felt
even
like there weren't any background mer people at all, and I would have loved it if they threw in more background mermaids, except for because it's only in the final scene that we get to see all these other mermaids and mermen and whatever you want to call them. I wish we could have seen more background mer people.
Yeah, and I mean, you could have at least put some more guards out there. There was 2 guards, and you only saw them in the first part of the movie.
And sometimes you only saw a glimpse of their tails.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love the sisters, but I felt like the sisters had a lot to say, but they just were not on.
Being denied.
Yeah, and
I wanted to hear the sisters sing "She's in Love." I wanted it so bad, and they kind of made a reference to it with doing the seafood dish line, but I wanted to hear them sing it.
Yeah, she's talking about the one from the Little Mermaid, the musical or the play. The live play.
Live performances.
And
on stage.
See, one of the things that I did like about the movie is that they took out the chef scene where the chef was trying to cut up the crab.
I never cared
Sorry,
for the chef
Sebastian.
in the animated version. I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, I never really cared about that. I really didn't like his character. So them taking him out of the movie for me was a plus for this movie. When she got into town and she didn't have her voice and didn't have her, she just got her legs and everything. I enjoyed that. I do feel like they didn't know what they were trying to go with because people sounded Jamaican and other people sounded British. And then they go into a scene where it feels very Italian, where it's like Jamaican people and people who are like in Italy or Spain that are there, just kind of all mixed up together. And it was still a fun scene. I just felt like there was like a lot of cultures kind of having fun together and didn't really realize, why are we all here together? Who cares? Let's dance. And it was fun.
That's a vibe.
It was fun. It's just, I felt like it's just like, here's a bunch of people who are Jamaican, here's a bunch of people who are British, and here's a bunch of people who feel like they're Spanish.
That they fleshed out the village. I loved how many background villagers we got to see who weren't important at all. And yet we got to see them and they had personality.
Yeah, they had a lot of personality.
Subtle.
It was great seeing all those different cultures together.
I wish they had done that with the mer people.
Yeah, the mermaid scenes were just kind of focused on Ariel and her family. It didn't really have it felt like they were a king of the water only.
Water only. There was no other people here. So
I just pretend I'm king.
Eric's kingdom was vibrant. It focused on the main characters. The main characters were the center point of it all, but it felt alive.
Yeah, it felt alive. Like, even though we see the fish people during the Under the Sea song, they only appeared then, and then they just flew off.
We didn't even see them during the Under the Sea thing. All we saw were the fishes.
That's what I was talking about. We didn't
even see any of the mer people.
And my favorite character. What's the character's name?
Which character?
The seagull.
Oh, the seagull?
I still don't know the seagull's Scuttle. Scuttle was a different thing entirely. I forget what her I forget who her actress's name is, but the chick who plays Raya and played in Shang-Chi, what was her name? She played Shizu in Raya, and she played May. I think that's what her name was. In Shang-Chi, I only watched Shang-Chi once, and I've always loved her voice. And to hear her voice come out of Scuttle, let's just say it's Scuttle. If it's not Scuttle, then eh. But something tells me it's Scuttle.
We're getting the name wrong if we are.
Exactly. So, I mean, I say it's my favorite character, and I don't even know the name.
We're too hyped up right now to worry about getting everything right.
And so, like, they gave her a song. That was my favorite song. It's got the cattle butt. And then she started rapping, and I was like, hey, okay.
Speaking of new songs, I enjoyed the fact that the Prince got a song.
Yeah, let's talk about that before we get into there.
His character.
Yeah, I love that the Prince had more depth. Like, it felt like, in Aladdin, it was Aladdin getting to know Jasmine, and this time it's Ariel getting to know Eric. And so we got a chance to get to know Eric's side of the story more than we would if we were just focusing on Ariel.
We got to hear his story, got to see what he was going through.
Excuse me. And I love their dynamic. I know they only had 3 days to get to know each other, and the first day was great. The first day, she got a chance to figure out that she does not like high heels or high heel boots. And
I dig high heels, but I get they're not for everybody. And that scene fitted Ariel so well.
Yes, it did. And the scene where they're like talking, and he shows her this. He shows her this like little clump of like coral, and then she grabs it and destroys it, and there's like jewels in it, and he's like, "Holy crap! I should have figured this out." And
that is a beautiful thing, because he's fascinated by the shell that came from the water, but she's less fascinated by it
because
it's
she
something
knows
she's
what
seen,
she knows what it is.
She knows the jewel inside, and she wants to share that with him.
Yeah, it's like looking at a stick, and or like I know this is a remote, but just bear with me, like, because look, I'm into Star Wars, so I'm gonna focus on like a Star Wars kind of thing, and I for some reason can't find my droid. He's gone missing, and I can't find him for any videos, and that scares me.
Roger's gonna come kill you.
He said he was, I think. So, I mean, he wouldn't do that. Would he?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I mean, he keeps disappearing on us.
All right. So, imagine if someone, I mean, you have this device, and you're like, huh, this is interesting, right? And I really enjoy it. But then someone walks over to you, grabs it, and presses the button on it, the big red button, and whoosh, lightsaber pops out, and you're like, whoa.
Exactly.
That is their dynamic, and it's
Can I
like.
talk about Ariel's outfits, or do we want to save that for the?
We're gonna save that for the last one because
Okay,
that's a topic.
I have a whole thing about Ariel's clothing.
All right, and Scuttle, just favorite character. Scuttle was just the vibe. It wasn't like the one in the cartoon was just dumb. Even I didn't really care about that version, but I did enjoy their time on screen. But they were annoying, and I felt like that was funny. That was it, though. When you watch the one in this movie, she is like a whole character. She's more of a bird brain, an airhead. You know, she's like, huh? Oh, you're talking about me? Why are you so mean? Like, I say nice things to you. Why don't you just say something nice for me for a change? And then goes and says, I have no lips. I have a beak. You know, it's like it's just like ironically stupid, lovable idiot kind of character that I resonate with.
But speaking on the animals, I liked all the animals. I kind of wish Flounder hadn't talked, and that all of his scenes, because he didn't have a lot of them. They cut a few of his scenes from here. I kind of wish he hadn't talked, and that all of his scenes had just been communicated through his eyes and movements. Because I think that would have worked so well, just like with Flotsam and Jetsam. I think it would have worked well, especially if he didn't talk, especially since they didn't let those two talk.
Yeah, I will say it's a bit.
And I hated how Sebastian looked. I hated it.
Yeah, it's just not like Sebastian's look at all. And I kind of agree. It's kind of nightmare fuel if you look at it from a certain angle.
If you look at it from any angle, there's like one angle that you can look at and that it's acceptable.
But it's the fact that, like, and Sebastian's not very deep voiced and like, I am just this person who is structured and proud. No, he's more like chill. He's a lot more chill than previously anticipated. And I think that's what I like the most out of his character.
Was gonna blow up Sebastian.
Not too.
With the statue of Prince Eric, we saw Sebastian next to him.
That statue in the cartoon, it was more like they showed off the statue and showed that this was Eric. In this version, it's more like Ariel's a scavenger, and I mean in the other movie she was. But in this one, she's a scavenger alone. It's like a hobby. It's just like her specific hobby, not her friends, not Sebastian. But they go, it's kind of complicated because she kind of scavenged the Eric statue without even realizing it was Eric. And then and it felt like she would have done it anyway, but then realized it was Eric and was like, awesome. That's just a plus.
It didn't even look like Eric. It looked like Emperor Caesar.
Julius Caesar.
Exactly, Julius Caesar. Thank you.
And so it could have been anybody, and she's just like, oh, it looks just like him. This dude has a long beard like your dad, just like him. Oh. And she didn't even say that she was in love with him. It was just more on the lines that the dad was mad, and he just destroyed all her stuff. And I guess it makes her less naive than she was in the cartoon. And I kind of respect it for this version of her. And the thing is, Ariel wasn't dumb either. Like, she did a lot of things in this version of the movie that was a lot more, I would say, not in her character, but I guess
Sure.
not even mature, just like creative. Like the shark scene, and she was, using the mirror to
Yeah.
reflect. I don't think I remember if that scene was even in the original one.
No, the shark just got stuck in a porthole, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, see, and that's another thing. She used that to her advantage to make the shark think that she was right there. That was creative. So at the end of the movie, yeah, I'm just skipping to the end. It made it feel very earned that Ariel ended up being the one to stab Ursula.
I would have preferred if Prince Eric had been on a second ship and they skewered her.
That was another thing, because Eric he looked like he was on a second ship, and it kept bouncing back and forth from Eric to Ariel.
Epic double skewer moment.
That would have been cool for both of them, because it meant like this is the second Disney couple that did a badass team up. That would have been cool, but I accept what happened.
I accept it. I just would have preferred if they had their epic duel moment.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have minded if they did a thing at the end where Triton comes back, as Triton dies in this one. And he doesn't turn into one of those things. They don't even mention. That's another thing. It's like the movie didn't have time to mention specific things. That's why I said that this is one of the things about live actions is that they don't pace themselves, and they don't have they're not using their creativity to add on to the story.
They know that you guys have already seen the previous animated version, so they're like, well, surely you guys will just take that information and apply it to the new version.
Yeah.
Even though they change things.
But if you're a first-time person, like imagine if this is your first Little Mermaid movie that you've ever watched, and you're trying to figure out, you got more questions than answers. That's why I said this is a 9 out of 10 and not a 10 out of 10, because the movie is, go ahead.
You have to watch the animated version to get all the information. Like, I found the version of the monstrous plant dudes that are, trapped merpeople really cool and spooky in this one. But they're never told what they are or why they're grabbing Ariel. They're grabbing at Ariel because they want her to get out, because they know what's awaiting her.
Mm-hmm.
But they never bring it up in the live action version. They do bring it up in the other version, so you get this hint of that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, so I would have
loved. They were trying to save her this entire time.
This is why I said that it doesn't give itself enough time to do anything. This movie is about 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and we have a lot of cool scenes in there. But it would have probably done better if it was a 3 hour long movie, because all the scenes were pretty good. But a lot of I would say like maybe 2% of the scenes didn't need to actually really be, or at least need to be added onto another scene to kind of keep those scenes kind of moving, because they kept going from scene to scene, and they only did like twice in the whole movie where they did like a black shot that goes into another scene, and everything else was just blink to this one, blink to this one, blink to this one. And go ahead.
With character wise, I wanted it to be explained to me why the queen believed, oh, mermaids are this and that. I mean, I get it, she's trying to mirror Trident, but like, Trident has a reason. We know his reason. He doesn't like humans because a human or a couple of humans killed his wife.
Yeah, that was already put into the movie. But for the queen,
could have just been mentioned that her husband was killed by mer people. Great, fantastic. Now she and Trident mirror each other, and it lets us explain why both of them dislike the other.
Well,
but the queen never got her reason.
Yeah,
the queen was just always like, our worlds aren't meant to mix.
Yeah, and the thing is, you guys did the same thing with Aladdin with Jasmine. There's a whole war going on, and only one who seems to really care about it is Jasmine. And what's his name? The Sultan, her dad, he was more focused on finding her a bride to kind of be like a groom to
making her a bride
to make a peace treaty with the neighboring what do they call it? The neighboring people, pretty much, so they can like have like a peace treaty kind of thing. It's been a while since I've watched Aladdin. I've only watched it once, the live action, which I still liked it, but I felt like it didn't have enough runtime.
Stay on topic. We're
I know. I am. I'm just saying it doesn't have enough runtime. It's the same situation with this one. Like, there's a lot of fun scenes after they get out of the water, but it doesn't feel like they had ideas, but they didn't portray them. Like she said that the queen doesn't have a reason. We don't ever see a king, so we're just left with more questions than answers on that part. Where we could have just assumed that the king died of a sickness, like in every other movie, or he died in a war, or he died at sea, or he is off at sea, like the movie Robin Hood, where the snake hypnotized the actual king to wander off somewhere until he, stops wandering off and comes back while his brother Prince John is taking over the kingdom until he gets back, or if he ever gets back. And so I would have loved to know, like, the queen's side saying, oh, he was lost at sea because he accidentally killed a mermaid, and now we're forever cursed to the seas will never let us, like, go to other mainlands where other kingdoms and stuff were. Because in the beginning of the movie, after Eric was saved, his mother was telling him about how they've had like 6 shipwrecks in the past couple of like 1 year or whatever because of the sea. They said the sea gods are angry. Well, explain why they're angry. Is it because they kill fish, or is it because they killed a specific fish, quote unquote? And then it would have made Eric understand it a little bit more. Why didn't you tell me that's why this whole thing would happen? Like, after he found out that Ariel was a mermaid, and when he was washed up on shore after the battle with Ursula. Also, let's talk about the Ursula thing for a second. Oh my God. You know how in live action adaptations, they always change something? And they always, like in Aladdin, it was Jafar's snake scene. It was just Iago being the giant bird, or like some scene like that. You know what? I'm gonna hold on to that one because there's too many to talk about. Anyway, giant woman, and she looked badass. She didn't have to be a giant version of her. No, she looked like a giant boss fight version of her.
I believe she looked like a Resident Evil boss fight.
Yeah, like a Resident Evil boss fight. And it was like, okay, you're a big fella. All right, let's get this started. And it was great. She didn't need to be anything else, but they made her even look more intimidating. She's not just Ursula, she is Ursula monster mode. You can see the big lines on her faces. The way that the light from the thunder hit her eyes to where she's got these little twinkles in her eyes that make her look very, like, inhuman. Some sort of monster or something like that. And you could say it's more beastly, but it's just demonic. It's just really, really boss fight. And the way she did things, like, I was thinking, okay, they're gonna do Last Airbender, how they did with like Aang not being turning into the fish water thing, but he just made a giant tide that beat the day. That was just dumb. I thought that they were gonna do like, oh, she's just gonna command the water and like surf on the water and make a bunch of like funnel clouds and vortex. But nope, they went with giant woman, and then they made the vortexes that brought up all the ships. So that was just cool in its own right. I enjoyed all of that.
And I loved how the mer people were more scaly than, like, I liked how they didn't have just like seashell bras, but instead they had like scales going up their arms and torso and stuff.
Yeah, but that was like rarely seen. They didn't really focus on it. But it would have been cool to see them more fish-like in that aspect, because Ariel's tail looked vibrant and it was creative. But if you look at Ariel's back, you can see that she's getting, like, her fins are going up her spine. And I felt like that was pretty cool. So I would have loved to see it kind of tied to a more fishy, like, scaly skin kind of thing going on. But you know what, we got what we got, and I enjoyed it. I just wish.
I need to bring up the Ursula human form.
The Ursula human form was actually pretty cool to me.
It was really cool. It was really cool.
They dodged a bullet. Let's just put it that way. That's all I'll say about this scene. I mean, they got a good actress to play her too, and she was cool on screen for what it was, and I'm glad.
It was great. She could have done more evil faces though.
Yeah, one of the things is I feel like people were kind of like they were just kind of standing
They
around.
didn't like moving their heads.
Yeah, especially when they were in the water, it just felt like everyone was like this.
Their heads were always stationary here.
They weren't being all flowy, you know? They weren't just flowing with it.
No, head stays still. Everything else moves around the head.
It's like they were trying to figure out which eye they need to focus on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get to the elephant in the room that my girlfriend really wants to talk about. The dress.
The outfits. Yes. Okay. No, I got a lot to say on this. So stop that. No camera facing me. Go away. I have a lot to say on this. Like, seriously.
I want to pretend to be asleep, but I'll be listening.
I like the Birkenstock dress that she got from the fisherman. That was cool. A nice pull to the dress that she originally made out of like the nets and stuff on the beach. I like that. I approve of that. I approve even of the second outfit. I like the little blue dress. I love the headband. I thought it was all very nice. I thought it was very cute and very subtle. She had like 4 outfit changes in the animated version. She has 2 outfit changes. Maybe 3 if you want to count the last one.
Because I actually felt like I was going to go to sleep there. Wow. It's not that this is boring. It's just the fact that I'm trying to let her talk. Oh.
So, like, seriously, she keeps on the exact same dress, this little blue dress with the little headband, the entire time. Even after the dress has been thrown into the ocean, torn apart, her dad sends her back to the humans wearing it? No. In the animated movie, he gave her this gorgeous, sparkly dress to make an epic entrance in. And he's gonna send her back in rags in this one? Like, I found this dress that you abandoned in the ocean during Ursula's fight. Yes, don't you want to wear the dress with holes and tears all in it? Fantastic, wear it. Like, he could have given her a better send-off. I would have loved it if her mermaid tail had become her dress. You had this beautiful dress with all these nice iridescents in it, even maybe a scale pattern, and it would have been gorgeous, perfect, wonderful.
He's not wrong.
But no, you get her getting sent back to her prince in this dress with tattered up ends. That's just, no, that you've been seeing her wear the entire time. And it's a tragedy. And then, at the final moment, like, you expect maybe they'll give her a good dress. You might get a nice, fancy, cool, darn good dress. No. You know what they give her? The exact same dress, just in a different color. And it was so sad.
There.
Why?
There.
It was the same dress, just a different color.
And so we go to our conclusion of the review. It's not perfect. It's got some parts in it that needed to be flourished, and it's got some parts that needed to be combined with with some scenes. It was a lot of fun to watch. And it was a little bit more creative than what we probably would have got without this version. I feel like people really enjoyed this movie. That's why we haven't seen a lot of criticism of this movie at all. Like, when this movie came out, the whole internet was silent on this movie. Like, yes, we get like some reviews here and there, like Nostalgia Critic, which is on the screen right now, and we're gonna listen to his review. Remember, he's a critic, and he's also it's his opinion, not your opinion. That's why we're making our own review on it instead of taking his word as if it's law. as much as I like Nostalgia Critic, there are things that he says that I don't agree with, and that's okay. I'm still a big fan of his, but I have my own opinions as well. A lot of the stuff I do agree on, and some of the stuff he just does is just funny. But anyway, we're gonna watch his review after we're done with this video, and the whole entire movie was a really good ride. I enjoyed it. I was over here moving and grooving to the songs and just laughing my butt off when it came to specific scenes. I will say the one thing that I would have loved a lot more is that Ariel and Flounder's relationship would have been more than just him being the little fish that pops up every now and then. In the other movie, they were like inseparable best friends. Like, he was her shadow because he wasn't confident enough to do a lot of things, but Ariel was, and he always wanted to be with his best friend. So, adding on to that, Flounder was still a really good addition to the movie, and the three basically animal mascots made the movie more enjoyable, even though Sebastian was literally nightmare fuel. And so I will agree with that, where I wish that, I mean, they wanted to make it realistic in live action, so they did it. And he was still interesting. Maybe it's because of his eyes. His eyes were very animated, and it just made it worse. But Sebastian going in on the rap too with Scuttle was perfect for the situation. Scuttle was just made the movie for me, and I enjoyed every minute that she was on screen. And if I had to rank all the characters, it would be Scuttle number 1, number 2 being Ursula, because oh god, Ursula. That's what I wanted to see as an Ursula live action. And that one scene in the beginning where they're like, the sea witch, and she's like, huh? like she didn't know that she was a sea witch or something like that. Even if she was playing the fool, or she just never heard that they call her a sea witch. It was just funny because she'd either play it dumb or she really was like, is that what they call me? I thought I was like Queen Bee or something. You know, like it makes her character just that much cooler. Then I would say I gotta go Ariel, because Ariel was a lot more crafty and creative than she was in the other movie. In the other movie, she was more like I can't remember the phrase or the word that I used. No, not passive. She had her head in the clouds. Airheaded, yeah. Let's go with that. Immature, no, that's not it. It'll come to me. But with this Ariel, she was more understanding, I guess. It's when she found out that Eric didn't recognize her, she actually was really let down. She had moments where she was just like, Did
I do for nothing?
Yeah, it's like you get the realization of love at first sight. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get with this person, we're gonna get married, and it's gonna be great. But then you find out how they really are, and you kind of question it. Like the dream fantasy that you created of this scene was so perfect, and now you see the realization of it, and you see her kind of go down from that. And then that's when you see their relationship really flourish, because they get to know each other. They're opposites, yet they're so similar in a lot of ways. And that's what I really liked in the movie, was the fact that they could expand upon that. Like, me and my girl, we both love anime, and we both like fantasy and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. But she's more into the Middle Earth kind of style, while I'm more into space and fantasy, I guess. More of a Final Fantasy to her Dungeons and Dragons, pretty much. And we butt heads on that, and yet we still respect each other's difference of fantasy nerdness.
Do I get to do my ranking now?
Yeah.
Ursula number 1, baby. Ursula was bloody amazing through the entire show.
Put your hand up. Put your hand up. There you go.
She was bloody amazing through the entire show.
movie.
and genuinely just fabulous overall. And I loved her. I want to give her squishes, even though I feel like she would kill me for doing so. My second one would probably be the prince. I did like how they expanded on him a little bit more.
Eric was actor Ariel for me.
I actually liked his whole look and everything.
I hated his vest.
That is your opinion. He looked hot in that vest. Stop it. Stop it. The hand show is my thing.
She says.
The hand show is my thing.
Said hell.
I think my third would be Ariel herself.
Third? Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
oh,
third.
sorry.
Prince is second for me. Third is Ariel herself. I did like that Ariel was a little bit more creative and such in this one, though I didn't necessarily care for. I don't know. It seemed like she had less of a collection than the Ariel and the thing. Plus, she was a little less expressive, and I liked the vibe of the animated Ariel a little bit better, but that's just my personal opinion. I still think Ariel had a lot of good things going for her. I liked her look for the most part. I wanted her costume design to be better. The costume design! Forgive me for being the stereotypical girly girl with costumes and all that. I also like the sisters would probably be number 5 for me. I really like them. I didn't care as much necessarily for the animal sidekicks like Flounder and Sebastian and Scuttle in this one. They just didn't pique my interest as much as I wanted them to. But I love the sisters' looks, and I wanted so much more from them. But there you go. There's my little bit of a ranking.
I think we can both say that our the one who is last is King Trident.
King Trident is the bottom of the list.
Yeah, he looks cool, but we don't have a lot of time with them. If we had more background characters for him to interact with.
Him. The Queen might be below him because at least Trident has the mission of the humans killed my wife. The Queen doesn't even have that.
He has that going for him, yes. I can say that I would put them in the same ranking.
Next to each other?
Yeah, because there's not enough for them.
There's not enough room for the two of them.
We know why Trident is destroying Ariel's stuff, but the thing is, it doesn't feel earned. It just feels like Daddy's having a tantrum because you're playing with your collection of Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Pokemon cards, and
Daddy wants you to settle down and get a real job.
Pretty much. It doesn't feel like I'm trying to protect you because up there is bad people. We never get shown it. We get told it passively, which is sometimes fine, but when moments like this happen, it needs to be either shown or told through some sort of either backstory or what everybody knows. Honestly, it's a full fact.
I kind of hate to say it, but I kind of wish the Queen didn't exist so that Triton could have more spotlight.
And if the Queen didn't exist, yes, it would give more spotlight to Trident, but it would have been a better parallel if we saw the same kind of situation going on with the Queen.
Oh, yeah.
For example, in Trident is more of a helicopter parent who wants to make sure that all of his girls, especially Ariel, stays safe.
Because Ariel's the baby.
So it would have been cool to see a lot more guards around and a lot more people talking to them, saying that they are princes and princesses and stuff like that, or just princesses. Sorry. And with Eric, it would be more that she gives him space because she's a queen, and she does respect his space. But she also knows that she is still afraid of him when it comes to him trying to go out and doing his whole ship thing and sailing thing. She's afraid because the same thing happened to his dad, and his dad never returned. We can assume that, but we never really get a straightforward answer if that happened.
If we had just gotten a straightforward answer.
Or something very vague. This isn't very vague. It's just more like
lie of omission.
Yeah, like maybe it happened, kind of, sort of, maybe.
They're
I don't
just
know.
not
That's
telling us.
yeah, that's what it is. We don't get the vibe of, oh, that's probably how they died. Even if they didn't tell us straight up, it would still be implied that this happened. Now we have to just kind of guess and think we're right. Maybe there was not a lot of direction on that.
Like, the best assumption I can come up with is that the king died at sea with, like, a mermaid attracting him down into the water.
Yeah, and when it attracted his boat down into the water, killed her as well.
And, like, there was a survivor who saw the whole thing.
Kind of like a Romeo and Juliet without figuring out that Romeo and Juliet are Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Without them dying,
was
by the way.
Weird.
So
they just didn't give us an answer.
So overall, from our individuals of 9 out of 10 to her 8 out of 10, I would say for the movie itself, I would go with a like 8.2 out of 10 or an 8.1. You know, it's or an 8.5. I wouldn't know how to figure that out because it's not a 9 because of all the gaps that they have in the pacing. If they had more of an understanding of their lore, then it would have been a lot smoother. Because in the first scene, we see a bunch of random crew members trying to stab at a dolphin, and they think it's a mermaid, but that never gets explored upon. Because apparently, you know, like going at sea and stuff.
Originally, when I saw it, I thought maybe this was like a flashback to when Ariel's mother died.
Yeah, that would have been it. That's what I thought too. I thought it was going to be the moment where we see it happen, and then thunderstorms, and then big tides and stuff like that, and they realize they can't get back to the mainland. So they settle here instead, where they end up having to make a kingdom here, and they've been trapped here for 15 years or 20 years or however old these characters are, and so we would understand it a lot more because now we understand that there was something that they did that angered the sea to make the sea want them to stay right here forever.
Right.
And now after Ariel and Eric get together, it becomes a story of Romeo and Juliet, if Romeo and Juliet survived, and they made peace with the land and sea folk. So now they can go further out to the mainlands again to actually try to do business, like Eric's been trying to do. So it would have given Eric a little bit more direction because the queen would be trying to stop Eric from learning the truth, and Eric is just trying to make it to the mainland so he can help their kingdom prosper. And no one's telling him why until the scene when he finds out that Ariel is a mermaid and Ursula is a sea witch. Hell, it could even be a rumor that there's a sea witch down there, and the queen knows about it, but the queen doesn't have any character. Her character is like, I love my son,
and I hate mermaids,
and I don't like. I curse the sea because I'm afraid of it.
I curse the sea people.
But then she goes into the moment where she's like, no, I was wrong. You were right. You found love. And it didn't make much sense because we never understood what she was even angry about.
Did she even physically see anything that would change it except for him moping in the water?
Yeah, it's like cats and dogs. Oh, you can never trust a dog, or you can never trust a cat. And then
you see your dog child moping in the water. Oh, you must have found true love with that cat.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make sense. That's why in the Hobbit movies, the elf and the dwarf, it was more like at odds with each other, like excuse me. Friendly rivalry turned to a passionate love story, and it worked because it was like,
wait, what dwarf and elf get a love story in Lord of the Rings?
The Hobbit.
Oh, the Hobbit.
In the live action movie The Hobbit, an elf chick falls in love with a dwarf, and he looks more like a man than a dwarf.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, we'll watch it again later. And basically, at the end of that movie, if you know, spoilers for The Hobbit in the Five Kingdoms, the dwarf dies, and this is her first time feeling love and pain, and she's like, if this is love, then I don't want it. Take it away. Why does it hurt so much? And then the king of the wood elves is like, because it was real.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very powerful. That was a very powerful moment because of how that was portrayed. And I gotta say, I enjoyed that movie as well. So back to our final verdict of an 8.9 out of 10.
I think we can agree on a solid 8.5. Like
8.5, yeah, an 8.5.
I think that's our agreed upon couple rating.
Yeah, because
my personal rating is still just an 8, though.
Yeah, hers is an 8, mine is a 9. 8.5 is us in total.
I have more things I'd want to change before I'd even give it a 9.
Yeah, see, if you have too much that you want to change, then it's not truly a 10. See, a perfect movie.
It stood on its own.
Yeah.
Stood on its own.
Yeah, see, a perfect movie doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be.
There needs to be like only 1% of things that you would change.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be. I mean, like this movie would have been a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for the direction, the true direction of the movie that was all over the place. Because you didn't know if, like we just explained, I'm not gonna explain it again. That'll just be me over talking it.
That would just be repeating.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, this movie was great. I enjoyed it. I feel like even the audiences enjoyed the movie, but they're not saying anything about it because they wanted to really curse the movie.
They wanted the movie to be bad so that they could be like, this is why you don't change things.
Yeah, but this was actually really good. When I first saw the teaser trailer for The Little Mermaid and saw that Ariel was black, I was like, this is gonna be fun. It wasn't me like being mad that she was black or being mad that or being happy that she was or any of that. I just wanted to see the chaos. For like the first time in a long time, I actually wanted to see how the internet would feel about this.
I wasn't really like too disappointed or anything, but like when I thought of I was kind of hoping when the live action Little Mermaid came out, and like, because I knew it was inevitably gonna come out. They were doing live action for everything now, so I knew it would eventually. But what I really wanted to see was something more like the stage plays. I wanted to see that Ariel come to life. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the live action one that we got. She seemed to really fit the role. I enjoyed it.
She sounded like Ariel too.
I got the whole vibe. I loved it. It just, for the first live action one, I wanted to see standard Ariel. I wanted the bright red hair with the green tail. I like the live action one that we got. It just, I was slightly disappointed because I had a vision of what I originally wanted for the first live action one, which was closer to the stage plays.
Yep. And I'm
fine with what we have. I am happy with what we have.
I can say that I think everybody wants their first ever like time watching a live action version of their favorite book, comic book, or cartoon to be in live action form and actually have it look genuine. And if it's never going to be genuine, then it just feels like you're putting a middle finger to everybody's faces. Because I would have liked to see that Ariel too, but I'm not hurting myself over. You know, exactly. It's not a bad thing to have this Ariel. It's just like if we had this movie,
she got the vibe of Ariel. Like you could have not told, if you just sat me in front of the show and didn't tell me it was Little Mermaid, I could have immediately guessed that she was Ariel. She had the vibe of it.
I mean, we have like 10,000 different Cinderella movies, so there's
exactly. There's 1,000 different ways to tell a story.
So like,
I get bent out of shape over one just because it's a slightly different.
Yeah. So that's what I feel like is what this movie is. We will have that version of Ariel eventually. Just like how we have a new Percy Jackson series coming out that may not look like they do in the comics, the novels and graphic novels, but we do, have it coming out anyway with a younger cast and all that. But all right, that's the end of this video. You guys are awesome. Please like and subscribe.
No evil voices.
Please like and subscribe.
Oh my
You're a spy for the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. Goodbye. Good night.